to finish off, I want to cycle back to a piece of content that I did right early on in Trusted Team, but it's such a powerful principle that I don't think you can do it. You can think about this too often, because it's probably the most powerful way of growing your business, I think. And that is through referrals. And it's not just accepting them when they randomly rock up. It's having a proper process, a standard, Michelle would describe it as, for generating referrals, so that you make it predictable, scalable, and you make it happen time and time again. That's what the Referral Revolution is all about. It's about really putting some clear processes in place to make sure it actually happens every time. And the reason that referrals are such a brilliant way of growing your business is because, well, first thing is they're free or almost free, and I'll come back to why I say almost free in a minute. The people that get referred to you are typically your ideal clients. So you're not getting people that aren't the right fit for your business coming into, because the person that's sending them your way already knows what you're looking for. And the final thing is they're really warm. It's genuinely like shooting fish in a barrel, because they come in already trusting you, even though they've never met you before. And the daft thing is that people actually like giving referrals. We're social creatures. We want to make introductions to people, because we know that if it's something that's helped us, we know that therefore it's likely to help other people. And so we actually really want to make introductions and referrals. It's a way of saying thank you. It's a way of helping other people. It's a way of saying I'm not keeping this just to myself. But it's also a way of showing off your network, something that I'll come back to. It's about demonstrating that you actually have good connections too. And historically, the referral process was really always described around, yes, you deliver good service, you have a specific referral process, and then you measure what you do to generate those results. And I think that that's right. But actually, the more I've thought about it over time, the more I've thought it's much more detailed than that. You can break it down into much clearer steps than that. And having come back to this concept now sort of 3 years after starting the Trusted Team, I really think there's actually 8 ways to build a proper referral system. And that's what I'm going to go through today, because I get that loads of you are already getting a good degree of referrals. The point is, can you get more? Can you get better? Can you get them faster? All of those ways can help you do that. So let's dive in. We're going to start with engagement, because the first thing, if you want to generate referrals, the first thing you've got to do is you've got to stand out. I've used the term making it talkable. I heard somebody speak a few years ago at MDRT, which you may have been at, saying you've got to make yourself talkable. You want to have people going, oh, I'm going to tell you this at a dinner party because, this service that I got stood out to me because it was so good. The reason that Michelle's telling us the story about that restaurant is because it stood out. It was like, this is brilliant, and I'm going to tell my friends about it. It was that brilliant. That is what we are trying to do. And to get people to want to refer you, you've got to become talkable. You've got to stand out in what you do. The best example I can give you of that is, or another example I can give you of that, and this wasn't from the same person that was talking about making it talkable, is Elliot's magic ticket. How many of you have watched the Elliot's Magic Ticket video or heard the talk? No? Anybody know that? Well, in that case, I'm guessing most people don't know the story. So Jeff Ram is now a world-renowned speaker, and he's built a whole speaking career based on one story, and that is his wife was taking his daughter to do something lovely. He'd got his 5-year-old son to look after for the day, and his son said, I want to go. I think my wife and daughter were going on a train to London, and the son was not jealous that they were going to do the thing in London that they were going. The son was jealous that they were going on a big train. So Jeff says to his son, what do you want to do? We've got Daddy and Sunday. He says, I want to go on a big train. Right, okay, right, we're from Newcastle, we'll go down to the train station, we'll get a train to wherever. And he tells the ticket lady that that's what they're there for. They're going to get a big train. And he buys the ticket, and the ticket lady says, well, how old are you, young man? He says, 5. He said, well, you go for free. You don't need a ticket. But it's not going to be quite as special a train ride if you don't have a ticket. So she literally got a blank ticket out and wrote Elliot's magic ticket. And he got, like, he was chuffed to bits that he had got his ticket. But Jeff put it on social media because he was blown away by this lady's forethought to write that ticket out. He put it on social media. It went viral. He then started a keynote speech around it. It's gone even more viral. He goes around the world telling the corporate world how this lady blew him and his son away because of the experience that they gave. That is what making it talkable is like. It's about standing out and doing something exceptional. I also went to another talk where a guy had a whole 45-minute keynote speech around how when he was at Disney and his son had a really restricted diet and he couldn't eat what he wanted to eat at the breakfast table on the first day, the chef found out what his eating restrictions were, found out what his favorite meal was, and by day 2, she'd been out to the shop herself, bought the ingredients herself, and delivered the apple pancakes that he loved having for breakfast with all of the ingredients he could have. And again, he now goes around the world talking about that story. It's about making these moments that stand out, make us different. If I'm ever moving home, I only use Ron Grant. Ron Grant is a local removals firm. He doesn't have a website. The reason this photo is such a bad photo is the only evidence online that I can find that his company exists. And yet I have moved removal dates because Ron Grant wasn't available when I needed him. Because it's just unbelievable how good a job he does. You know, you can't, like, you have that debate when you move. Well, we used to have the debate. We don't have the debate anymore. Like, you're paying somebody to move house for you. Do you pay them extra to box it all up? Will they do it as good a job as you? And it's like Ron Grant, it's like the best money you ever spend in your life. It's like an extra £500 and he takes about a week's worth of work off you and everything arrives safely. It's like incredible. And there's a book called The Fred Factor, which talks about how you kind of massively over-deliver. And this is the starting point of having a great referral process, is standing out, delivering a service that exceeds expectations. You know, I've talked about how Disney have their sign that says the queue will be 45 minutes from here, but it's only ever 30 minutes. So you're getting there going, oh, wow, that queue went quicker than I was expecting, because they've managed your expectations and then they've over-delivered, under-promised and over-delivered. So that's what we need to do. And when it becomes talkable, people want to share it. Like with Tom's shoes, you buy a pair of Tom's shoes and they give a second pair of shoes to a kid in Africa. So when somebody says, oh, I like your shoes, you go, do you know what? They're amazing. Tom's shoes. And because I bought these, some kid in Africa's also got a pair. That's what makes businesses talkable. That's what makes people share the idea. And they want to share that idea because they're cool, because they're sharing something interesting. But it does have to be authentic. You've got to make it talkable, but it's got to be authentic. It's got to be in line with your values. And finding stuff that means that you can exceed those expectations and over-deliver is definitely the first starting point of, and it's basically a short summary of exactly what Michelle has been talking about. It's about delivering excellence and exceeding people's expectations. The next principle around having a brilliant referral system is reciprocity. Because reciprocity is one of the most powerful principles in life and in business. And I know we've talked about this before. I've used this example in the past, so some of you have heard it before. But the book that talks about reciprocity better than any other book I've read is Influence. I know I'd probably recommend that book like one reason every workshop, because it is just the best business book I think you can read from a influence and marketing point of view. But long story short, for those that don't know it, as part of an experiment, he sends out 50 Christmas cards to complete strangers. 75% of the people that got the Christmas card from a complete stranger sent a Christmas card back because they felt compelled to do so because of the power of reciprocity. The other story that I love in Influence about reciprocity is the story of Mexico and Ethiopia. And so basically, it's a story of in the 1980s where £5,000 was sent from one country to the other to help support a difficult time. And you'd completely understand that given that in the 1980s, Ethiopia was going, we'd got Bob Geldof singing about how bad everything was in Ethiopia. You completely understand if that £5,000 was flowing from Mexico to Ethiopia to help support them. Except the problem was, it wasn't. It was going from Ethiopia to Mexico City. I can't remember the reason why. I think it was something to do with a flood or there was something, I can't remember the story. But when you dig deep into why in Ethiopia's direst time, probably in history, did they find the money to send to Mexico, when you look at why they did that, it was because in 1935, Mexico had actually helped Ethiopia in a quite a substantial way. And they'd been waiting 50 years for the opportunity to repay that help. The power of reciprocity is just huge. In Influence, they use the example of, will you stand here and fill out a survey for me for the next half an hour? And everyone goes, yeah, thanks, but no thanks. Then they asked exactly the same question, but they gave them a can of Coke beforehand. And almost everyone, yeah, okay, fine. For a can of Coke, which was probably costing 35p, well, no, it probably cost a bit more than that nowadays, 35p, they're willing to stand and do half an hour's worth of survey because of the power of reciprocity. So how do you create reciprocity in your business? Well, one of the ways that we would do it was giving away books. So it's just a great gift to give. People are grateful for it. Even better if it's your book and it's signed. But it doesn't have to be, as I've talked about before. It can be a book like the ones that you might have seen at the back of the room. Just giving a book is such a thoughtful thing, and particularly when it's a book that is thoughtful around that person's situation. Like if they're a golfer, giving them the golfer's mind. If they're into health and well-being, giving them Headspace, the book by the guy who founded Headspace app. Just thinking about a book that is important and helpful to that person is really powerful. And then building it into the process, which I will come back to. The other thing which I've suggested to Bhavesh as he's just had his book published is don't just give them one book, give them two. So if you're giving your own book, you gift them a second book to give to somebody else.
A copy of.
Two of the same book, and then you say, pass this on to somebody else. And if that is your book, it's a really great way. If you've just written your book and you send out your book to all your clients, send out two and say, I've enclosed a second one for you to give to somebody else. It's your best business card you could possibly give away. And then build it into the process so that everybody gets it exactly the same time. So I have 4 books, so we would know that before the first meeting they get this, or at the first meeting they would get this. 1 week after signing up to say they want to go ahead with the financial planning, they get this. Then 2 months later, they get this. And guess what? A week after they get something gifted to them in the post they weren't expecting, i.e. when the reciprocity is really high, that's when the letter about referrals turns up, asking, who do you know that you might be able to help, or telling them about some other referral event, which I'll come on to in a second. Because when you catch them when they're feeling that power of reciprocity, they go, yeah, I can actually be bothered to fill this form out because I was really grateful of that book turning up. And of course, it can be lots of different ways. I've talked about the fact that we gave port at Christmas to create reciprocity, but it also made it talkable. So they would be drinking port with their family or friends at Christmas and go, oh, this port was sent by my, because you never drink a bottle of port on your own, do you? Well, I don't, maybe if Natesh was here. But you don't drink it on your own, you drink it with other people, and therefore that makes it talkable, but you're again creating reciprocity. If you read Giftology, The gift that he used to give was a set of Japanese knives. As I've told you before, I actually own a set of those Japanese knives because somebody gave them to me that clearly read giftology. But it's a memorable gift. And every time I use them, I think of him. And while we're on the principle of influence, I'm going to share one more thing with you from one of the other 6 principles of influence. Is people want to be consistent with what they do and what they say. So if you say at an early stage in meeting a new client, we will ask you to refer us to other people. In the same reason that you're here as a referral, assuming we deliver a good service for you, and assuming we do a good job, and assuming you become a client, we will ask you for other people that you know that you will be able to help. Would that be okay? It's a very easy thing to say, yeah, of course, that'd be absolutely fine. So then later on, when you do ask, it's really difficult for them not to give you referrals because they're breaking the consistency of what they've already said. And in fact, when you do that, you get some people coming into the meeting with a list of people going, I knew you were going to ask this, so I'm fully prepared for it. But they want to be consistent with what they say. So if you get a really low, easy, yeah, consistent, I'm happy to do that, later on, they will stick to their word. By the way, the reason there's a sign here, which some of you are chuckling at, is the example in influence is he goes along and says, he basically walks along the street and says, do you believe in road safety on streets? And they all go, yes, I do believe that, and I would like to support road safety. And then a week later, he goes back and knocks on the door. Would you be willing to put this huge, horrible sign in your garden to endorse the fact that you said you were promoting road safety? And a remarkable number of people said yes, because they felt that it would be inconsistent now not to have this hideous sign that was in their garden. So that to me that's a really actually important play in getting those referrals. The next thing you need to think about is what's in it for the person that is referring, the referrer. What's in it for them? What's the benefit to them? Well, the first thing is that people like to be seen as being part of a community, and they like to be able to demonstrate that. And they also like to be part of a community and see that grow. So we would have people that wanted to be at our golf day and hang out with other clients because they were part of that community, or our pub quiz or whatever it was, because they wanted to be part of a community, wanted to be part of a tribe. Seth Godin wrote a whole book on how people want to be part of a tribe. But it does, so therefore a good referral tactic is a combination of in-person tribe and also online strategy. But to know how much benefit you can give to the referrer, you need to really be clear on the value, the lifetime value of a client. Because, so for example, there was I remember hearing a story of a guy where he ran a big business. He only used to take on 2 or 3, it wasn't a financial advisor, it was far bigger business. He only needed to take on 1 or 2 clients a year. But as a result, a client was worth like £1 million. A new client generated £1 million worth of revenue. So when somebody referred him to a client that was worth £1 million, he sent them on a luxury cruise for a week. It probably cost him 20 grand. But if you knew you were getting £1 million back, would you be willing to give somebody 20 grand to do that? Of course you would. In fact, you'd be like, how many times can I do that? I'll do that as many times as I can. So if you understand the true lifetime value of a client, not just what they make you in year 1, but in year 2, 3, 4, 5, as long as they stay, that's how you need to work out what is, once I know that lifetime value, what can I justify in giving to that referrer as a thank you, as an incentive. Now that might be vouchers. We've done Amazon vouchers, we've done gift vouchers, we've done John Lewis vouchers, we've done magnums of champagne, we've done cases of wine. Magnums of champagne I really liked because, again, you don't drink a magnum of champagne on your own, do you?
They're special.
They're special, exactly. it stands out. It's not like if it's a bottle of wine, it goes in the wine rack and you drink it. Like, where did this one come from again? I can't remember. And you might well drink that one on your own. A magnum of champagne, you're never tackling that one on your own. So think about what is in it for them and how you can thank them for them introducing you. And you can, like, there's sometimes it's a benefit to tell them this in advance and say, oh, if we give you this. I remember when we were at a stage where we were giving vouchers, we had somebody that kept referring us clients because they just wanted another voucher. They were like, I just need another John Lewis voucher, so I'll just find you somebody else that you can deal with. And so yeah, I think sometimes it's good to tell them in advance, but it's also really powerful for them to get it as a surprise and go, I get this for just doing that. Wow, I'll do that again. One of the other things that we used to do, so when I got this idea from the cruise idea, we do the referral dinner. So every year we'd put on a lovely dinner at a Michelin star restaurant, and we would invite the people that had referred us to other clients. And we'd also invite accountants and solicitors that had also referred us to clients over the course of that year. It's a really great way of building those relationships stronger. And guess what? If they referred us one client, got a lovely meal, there's a very good chance they're thinking, who can I refer you to next year so that I'm back at the referral dinner again? It's just a really great way of doing it. And you're probably talking £200, £250 per head in exchange for a client that was worth £10,000 to us as a business. And then the flip side of that's what's in it for the referral. Because actually, I think perhaps more valuable than giving an incentive to the referrer is giving something that the referral gets as a result of being a referral. Because that way, when Mr. Smith says, I am going to refer my brother to you for financial planning, he can say, look, yeah, I'm going to get something out of it, but actually you're also going to get something out of it. You're getting a better service or a cheaper and exclusive thing because I'm referring you in. It gets rid of that, oh, I'm only doing it because I want another John Lewis voucher type worry. It's actually the person, you're doing a favor to that person. So what might that look like? Well, we had the Dream Retirement Dinner. So on the flip side, the person that's being referred in could come to the Dream Retirement Dinner, which meant they got a lovely meal as well. They had to put up with me talking about pensions and retirement in between courses. But it was, again, a nice way of Mr. Smith going, look, if you go to this referral dinner, you'll get a lovely meal. You get to find out a bit more of them as a firm. If it's a good fit, happy days. If it's a bad fit, at least you got a nice meal out one evening. So that's definitely in it for them. Again, gifts. Send them a copy of the book. Send like literally we would give out gift cards so that they could write the card out. So the referrer would write a card and say, oh, I was just reading this book by my financial advisor and I thought of you. And you approaching retirement, thought this might be useful for you. It's helped me on my journey. They give us the card back and we send out the book and the card to the client. The referrer looks really good because they've been thoughtfully gifting a book to their friend, but they're getting a free book that is to their benefit as well. And again, build it into an automated process so that at this stage in their client journey, everyone always gets this part of the process. And you can give them discounts as well. So we used to say that our first meeting with an advisor was £297 unless you were referred in by a client or a professional connection. So again, it's like the referrer saying, oh, go see them and you'll get a free meeting because I've referred you in. So you'll get, that's worth £297. It makes them look good and the referral is getting a free meeting. So they're getting a nice discount. The company that I thought of when Michelle was talking about the excellence and you were talking about the restaurant was the company that I got my eyes lasered with. their service levels were off the chart. So I didn't benefit from this particular thing because of COVID. I got mine done while we were all kind of in semi-lockdown. But pre-lockdown, and I believe they've reinstated it now, you got a back massage just before you went in for your laser eye surgery. Yeah, it was the most expensive massage you'd ever get. But it meant that you arrived into theatre in a nice, relaxed and calm state. They couldn't do the back massage for me because of distancing restrictions, but they did give me a little fluffy, cuddly toy instead. So I'm chuckling away, I don't need a cuddly toy. And then you smell the burning flesh of the laser eye surgery. Thank God I've got this cuddly toy. But interestingly, their referral program gives no benefit to the referrer, but the referral does get a discount. And they found that worked better than giving the discount to the referrer. So think about what's in it for both sides of the party. The next thing to do is to make it just really easy. You've got to make it really easy for clients to refer, because anything that gets in the way is just going to stop it happening. So how might you do that? Well, you might want a dedicated page on your website that allows people to refer to them. You might want a dedicated video on that dedicated page that says that, it might be a video that goes to the referral, and you might have a web page for the referrer to complete. You've just got to make it really, really easy. And one of the ways that you can do that is through content. The creation of content and newsletters is a really easy way for people to go, oh, I read this article and I thought of you. Forward it on, bang, that's your referral done as a starting point. In your annual review, so I talked to you about the client review workshop. One of the things that we would have in the client review pack, by the way, if you want to know more about the client review workshop and you want to know, want to have more of the process, yes, we covered it in more detail in Magnification Mastery, but we also have all of the documentation around what each pack used to look like, how we built the presentations, what we put in them. So if you want more detail on that, we're happy to share that with you. But inside that pack would be a referral form. And because it was a workshop format, I had the opportunity to talk briefly about why we asked for referrals, or why it was important that we got referrals, or whatever. And then they had the pack to go, oh, actually, yeah, do you know what? I did think the other day that so and so would be benefit, but I never really thought about it. Now the form's sitting in front of them, they're in the room with you, and you just go, bum, 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 bum. So how can you put that form, and that form could be online, it could be in person. How can you just make it really, really easy? The next thing you've got to do is you've got to be ready to follow up. And part of that is doing what you say you'll do. But you've also got to make it really easy for the team, so that when we get a referral, this always happens. The referrer always gets a thank you email. The referral gets this gift in the post. Have a standard process for what happens when the referral arrives, because it's really important that you thank the referrer, and it's really important that the referral is immediately given the VIP treatment, because if you do that, then that's when they will almost certainly convert. So make a plan as to what it looks like, and then also try and make it public as well. If somebody refers somebody in or recommends you, you can, like with financial services, you might want to be a bit careful, but sometimes you can make it public that somebody has referred somebody else in to, again, create more consistency. But definitely send thank yous out. That is really important. And again, thanking people publicly for that is really powerful. The next thing is around leveraging people's networks. So how and why would we do this? Well, I've built a whole podcast now with Claire's help, but I've built a whole podcast around this principle. So the number of people that say to me, the thing I don't understand about your podcast is, how do you get so many amazing guests? And I say, I just ask everybody who they know would make for a good guest. everyone gets asked the same question. Not everybody refers somebody, but some refer 3 people in. So the whole podcast, basically I approached about 10 people cold, about 4 people said yes. And then every one of those 4 people I asked, who do you know that you could introduce me to that would make for a good conversation? And the whole 150, 160 episodes later, it's still, we've already got almost all of this. We're in the middle of releasing season 9 at the moment. We've almost finished recording or booking everybody for season 10 because of that exact process. We almost never approach anyone cold. So people actually want to show off their network if you give them the right opportunity and you do what you say you're going to do and be professional about it. One of the best ways to do that is getting them to bring somebody along to an event that you organize. One of the reasons why we did a golf day every year is because it's just the best way of saying, we'd love to invite you to the golf day as a thank you. By the way, can you bring somebody else? Because we like to have a teams of pairs. Now they know really why are you doing that. You're doing it so that you can meet a whole load of more potential clients. That means 50% of your golf day is potential clients. And the people that aren't clients are coming in going, wow, these people are all part of Efficient Portfolio, or all like, this is a tribe I want to be a part of. How do I become a part of this? I immediately trust this. You know, I'm getting a lovely golf day on the back of it. So we put a lot of time and thought into, well, what other things, because not everyone plays golf, what other things can you do other than golf? That's why we came up with the pub quiz. Great way of saying, it's teams of 4, so you and your other half come along, but bring another couple along to make up your team. Again, 50% of the room is potential clients. We did we did a box at the races. We did what else did we do? We did cricket. Particularly what worked well with cricket is I'm going to invite this solicitor. By the way, Mr. Solicitor, I've got a spare ticket. Why don't you invite one of your clients? Brilliant way of spending time with, and that's like a full day of drinking and eating, isn't it? Cricket is an excellent one. You can't get around loads of people, but the people that you get, boy, do you spend some quality time with them. But yeah, any sort of days out. The other one that worked really well was wine tasting, and particularly wine tasting online. We tried to do it as a hybrid, so give people the opportunity to come in and do the wine tasting in person or dial in. 90% of people wanted it online because guess what? They didn't have to worry about driving. But what they would do is invite another couple out. We say, well, look, it's a bit lonely doing it just you and your wife at home on your own. So bring another couple in. We'll send you double the amount of wine, and you can have a nice evening with, the neighbours perhaps, whilst dialing into this wine tasting and having somebody talk about the different wines and why you're doing it. So anything that's an excuse for them to bring somebody else is a brilliant way of giving them value and thanks for what they've done, for being a client, but also giving them a really, really easy way to bring their friends into. One of the also really brilliant ways, and by the way, I always taught the team to ask for an introduction, not a referral. It's really, if I ask you, would you, I know, like I've just seen on LinkedIn, I've got a mutual friend with your brother. Would you mind introducing me to your brother for a chat? It's much softer than I'd really like you to refer me to your brother, which feels like, oh, hang on, I don't know if he needs your help. But and if somebody asks for an introduction to a friend of mine, unless they failed Michelle's credibility, trustworthiness thing, then naturally you'd do it. But so one of the ways you can do is you can be strategic. And the beauty of LinkedIn is you can go, I've got this client coming in. I know I'm going to ask him for referrals, but I really like within his network, I can see that he's connected to this person. And therefore, would you mind, I see you're on LinkedIn, I saw you're connected to so-and-so. Would you mind introducing me to that particular person for a chat for this reason? And people will generally go, yeah. And then you're getting your ideal clients. Also great if it's, would you mind introducing me to your accountant? Because I'd really love to have a, professional connection conversation with that. So you can do your research in advance. One of the best benefits to doing estate planning and trust planning for your clients is, and that applies whether you're running an accountancy firm, a law firm, or a financial planning firm, is because you need to ask for their trustees, and who are almost always the people that you want to be referred to most. It's the people that they trust the most and are financially, successful enough to be trusted with their money were something to happen. And that is the ideal trustee, and it's the ideal referral. So therefore, and you've got the excuse to invite them in for a signing meeting, so you can actually meet them firsthand. And we would also write to them and say, here's a guide to being a trustee. I'm sure you know lots about trusts already from your own trusts. And immediately they're reading it going, I don't have any trusts. But why don't I have any trusts? I need trusts. But they're reading and going, and so regularly we would then get contacted to say, oh, hang on, can you help me with this? So really, so you want to be thinking about how can you, what excuses can you come up with that allow you to write to those people that are your potential introductions. Where are we? Automation. Trust the process, build the process, make it happen every time, and find excuses to tell them repeatedly. So one of the great things about the referral dinner is it's an excuse. Oh, we've got this brilliant dinner booked this year for the referral dinner. I really love this restaurant. If you want to make sure you're there, you've got until here to introduce us to somebody, because it's just another excuse. Send them a letter that tells them about the referral dinner. Talk about it in the client review workshop, whatever it is. Find excuses to repeat it time and time again. And the best time to ask is the time in your process, if you think back to your real results roadmap, the time where they buy into what you do the most. Now, in my experience, that was the point at which they go, I've seen this amazing plan. I'm going to say, yes, go ahead, carry on and do all of that work for me. And yes, because I'm saying that, I massively buy into what you're doing. If you ask me for referrals at that point, I'll happily give them. Now, for you, it might be a different stage. It might, like for you guys, it might be at an earlier stage where you've just created that visual contextualization and they're super excited about it before they've got bogged down in the chaos of the build and all of that sort of stuff. But you want to think about where in that process are you best to organize, to ask. But actually, there's no reason why it should just be one place either. It can be time and time again. But you do need to measure where they come from, what you do, because it's only what gets measured gets done. And when you measure, you can see whether you're making progress and success. And then, so we would categorize it into client referrals, but also referrals from other sources. And we would measure that through what we called the referral register. So what does that look like? Well, I think that there's kind of 6 stages that you might think about in terms of a referral process. What could you do at the first point of contact with a client that's preconditioning to them, that's allowing you to build up that consistency, so that when you ask later, they will deliver? With the podcast, subconsciously we're saying, oh, you're obviously friends with so-and-so, they mentioned how good you'd be on the podcast. So we're now already preconditioning that they've come in as a result of this process. As soon as they say, yes, I am happy to move forward. So, for financial planning, that might be, or any of other professional service, that might be, if you're happy with the service that we provide, would you be willing to refer us to clients to build up that consistency? Post-engagement, it might be that you find an excuse to mention the referral dinner or the referral thing at this point here. On sign up, they're now saying, right, I trust you to write this check. I'm going to do whatever it is you tell me to do. At that point, you want to be primed and ready, literally sitting there going, okay, so who else do you know that you think would benefit from this? And even better, if you've got a list of saying, I can see your brother does this. Would you mind introducing me to that particular person? Post sign up, that might be a gift. It might be sending a book. It might then be following that book up with something about the referral process, the referral dinner, whatever it is. Recurring. How can you make it, build it into the process so it happens year after year after year in the annual review or another time? A letter that goes out every March to talk about where the referral dinner is this year, because the referral dinner happens in December or whatever it is. And then make sure that you've got your equivalent, the referral register, that you're recording everything through. So there's some examples of what that looks like, but that's what I've just explained. What does that look like for the trusted team? Well, the reason that, so I've been going through the trusted team's referral process whilst doing this, and it's one of the things that prompted me to reevaluate what I think a good referral process looks like and to create the 2.0 version of Referral Revolution. So when we're speaking to a new client going forward, we're going to mention that we've grown the trusted team through referrals, which is actually predominantly the case. Post engagement will include a flyer about the referral bonuses that we've got and a book gift offer, so the gift cards. On sign up, we'll ask who else do they know that would benefit from this, and also who else would they benefit from having in the trusted team workshop. So for example, if they've got an accountant or a solicitor or financial advisor that they'd like to buddy up with and build a stronger relationship with, well, who else do they know, that they would benefit from? Post sign up, send a copy of the book or give it to them in their gift pack, followed by a referral form and some blank cards to send out to people that that would benefit from a gift of that book as well. Recurring annual referral drive at the September workshop, so look out for that, with gift cards and books, and also we could build that into the conversations you have with Amy on a regular basis, and then we already have our referral register to measure that. We also have our referral bonuses. So there's some things that happen whether the person decides to join the trusted team, and there's some things that happen get on top of that if the person that you refer in does decide to join the trusted team. So you'll have spotted there's some different books that aren't my books at the back of the room. So if you're kind enough to introduce us to another person that you think would benefit from being in the trusted team, and or somebody that you think you'd benefit from having it here in the trusted team, then we'll give you a free choice of one of those extra books that isn't one of mine. We'll also offer to do a collaborative event with you. I know Bhavik and I have been talking about this, so potentially me speaking at an event just purely as a value add for their clients. We'll also give you the opportunity to invite a guest to the workshop as a one-time visit. Normally, obviously, we only get paid up members in here, but as an offer to members, we're giving you the opportunity to give somebody an invite to this. Then if that person does become a member of the trusted team, we'll give you a month free. So that's worth quite a lot of money. We'll give you an invite to the referral dinner, which is happening in around the November workshop. And we'll give you one of our courses for free as well, something like the AI masterclass. So that's what's in it for you guys. And obviously what's in it for us is we grow the trusted team with like-minded ideal clients that already like and trust you guys.